You know, this is kind of the epicenter of creativity, and I think that it was the mission of Dr. Burroughs and the founding members to create a sacred space where artists could come and enjoy our community's creativity. And you know, it's just really humbling. And you know, I feel like this is just a great space, in addition to showing my artwork. I want to highlight that the Kemetic yoga practice was also started here by Eldzier Lawrence. And you know, there's so many things that happen here on the third floor, from you know, figure model sessions to fish fries and dances and masquerade balls. And just to have all of that kind of tie in to this entire exhibit, you know, I think is really important to highlight that it's not just mine, it belongs to all of us.
What is it that you create? What is your I am with your art?
I am everything the universe has put inside of me, and that's what I project into the world. So to begin with, I'm from the south side of Chicago. I was born and raised here, and just inspired by the art and architecture, the color, the beauty, the music, as I said. You know, so just feeling that I have kind of a home base helps me see the world from a broader perspective. So that's why the art that I create is more universal and symbolic, where I try to capture more cosmic elements of the universe and incorporate them into our own existence here on Earth as heavenly beings.
What is your process? Like, what is the inspiration that actually gets you to fully create it? Like, I know sometimes artists have ideas and concepts and it just takes the time to sit and do it, but what actually physically moves you into creating that piece right then and right there?
I think just truth, you know, conveying truth in my work. I think I sound like a broken record most of the time, but everything I love and admire has its origin in Africa. So I use that as a foundation, and everything I do and create kind of stems from that. So you begin with the root, and the root is the knowledge that I accumulate, and then the fruit that tree bears is the artwork. So it's basically just an extension of the knowledge of our ancestors passed along through the descendants, and this is what my legacy is to leave to the future.
How do you feel that being a visual artist, being a painter or creator, definitively speaks to people as they see it? Like, I know everyone has a different interpretation of art when they see it, depending on where they are in life and maybe what their root is. But how do you feel you are exalting or revering the ancestors through, you know, colors, symbolism, shape, line, and maybe themes in your artwork?
I don't really think much when I create, you know, especially with the yoga series. I'm more inspired by the dynamics of the body. And to tell the truth, when yoga began to take more of a front seat to the elevating of our consciousness, you know, because it's kind of a multifaceted awakening, you know, but yoga began to take precedence in that, and I just wanted to make sure that I prioritized Black women, women of color who participated, because everything that we create can kind of get whitewashed, and you lose the origin when things begin to become assimilated into the society. So I wanted to make sure that the depictions of the images were representative of my community, and also there's symbolism within the work that may not necessarily communicate verbally, but some of the symbols, you know, they're geometric in design, so they may speak to a mathematician.
Yes.
You know, some of the symbols are stars and, you know, symbols of the cosmos. They may speak to astrophysicists. Some of the symbols are clouds. They may speak to a meteorologist.
Yes.
You know, and then I also incorporate, you know, the written word in there. So, you know, that speaks to people who are creative writers. So, you know, I try to incorporate different aspects of creativity in there. So like you said, one person may look at it and see one thing, somebody else may see another, but I think it has a universal message that even if you don't understand it, it speaks to you in such a way where you feel that it's trying to say something powerful to you.
Yes. Even what is your, or how did you enter yoga? I'll start from there. How did this particular practice that you're depicting reach you?
I think my yoga practice kind of ends at the tip of the paintbrush because I'm not actually a yoga practitioner, but like I said, I was inspired by how extreme humans are able to push the dynamics of the body.
Yes.
And I think as a primarily figurative artist, I try to capture dynamic poses, and I just found that yoga in itself was extremely dynamic as far as the positioning of the body and the extremes that you can accomplish. And, you know, I think the primary message is that we can accomplish all things through practice and persistence. And that's part of the yoga process, is by practicing breath control and stretching and incorporating all these different things. And that's actually the name of the exhibit. I wanted to incorporate the ancient African symbolism. Is called Smai Tawi. So it's not just the poses and the flexibility, it's all encompassing. So it incorporates movement like dance and you know, like a capoeira kind of thing, where there's, you know, movement and motion in addition to the breath control, in addition to a spiritual aspect of it, you know, whereas yoga is kind of like this specific thing created in India as a spin-off of the blueprint, you know, that originated centuries or, you know, however long before, you know, I guess the beginning of humanity.
Yeah.
You know, you can say that humans were creating art when humans were created.
Yes. And I would even say humans create art when they are practicing yoga. Like, so even what you said about, you know, it kind of ends at the tip of your paintbrush, I think that was so beautiful, because it's like, yoga is, you know, like you said, whitewashed, popularized, commercialized as this thing that is just about moving the body in ways that make people ooh and ah, right? That is just this very physical, visual practice. But I think, and what your artwork definitely demonstrates, is not just the deep focus and concentration, not just the connection to times and to information and knowledge and precision that maybe people have not yet accomplished in that physical practice. And it reminds people that it's yoked to something else. And so what I would say is, even as an artist, I see great parallels, if not, you know, direct connects between the focus, the discipline, the vision that it takes to create a piece of art or a piece of work align with the energy that gives you the power and the confidence to do it. So what would you say, tell us about not only the name of the exhibit, you've mentioned it a few times, but tell us about what this collection means to you.
To me, it's just representative of what we're able to accomplish if we focus on one goal. You know, the goal was to create a body of work that spoke power into existence. So, you know, I incorporated different media. There's sculpture, there's paintings. You know, I incorporated my sketchbooks because I wanted to show the actual process that led up to the final paintings. You know, so there's different thought patterns that you have to employ in order to come to a final project. So it's like telling a story. You have the introduction, you have the body, and then you have the conclusion. So when I felt like I was finally at a conclusion, I felt like I was able to present it to the world.
I love that because the practice is like that as well. It's a progression. It starts as, maybe some postures that seem a little more entry level or elementary, like maybe a posture that people don't think is really powerful because it doesn't necessarily look very flexible or very dynamic. But those postures still hold great power, and those postures develop and unlock other postures, unlock other states of consciousness. And so I noticed one of the things with a lot of the pieces that are here in the space that I love, you have incorporated the use of a lot of Dinkra symbols. Can you talk a bit about your knowledge of that and why they are included in pretty much all of the pieces, if not all of the pieces?
I think that genetically speaking, I have ancestry among other places. Obviously, there's multi-ethnicities in my background, but the Benin, Togo region specifically is where the Dinkra symbols originate from, the Akan people, and the language is Twi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. All my Ghanaian people will correct me, I'm sure. But the Dinkra symbols for me are united to hieroglyphics, so where these symbols kind of tell stories, even though they appear just to be simple signs. So basically, we wear the Dinkra symbols for protection. Warriors have their own symbols that they adorn their garments with when they go into battle. People have symbols that they adorn themselves to enhance their beauty. People use their Dinkra symbols to beautify their homes, the outside of their houses. So, it's basically symbols of embellishment, but it's also, for practical purposes, to show the importance of something. So I felt like, again, like highlighting people of color, it's important to show the power by adding these symbols that have specific meaning. So for example, you have meanings such as duafe, which means beauty, and it stems from the comb. So your hair is an extension of reaching out to the universe and drawing in that energy. And you have symbols like Ji-Nyame, which means nothing but God, which is what basically, if you believe in God, you believe that that's the director of the universe and all things that happen. And, just the different symbols kind of tie into each pose specifically in subconscious ways. And, I don't try to put too much thought into the creation process. I kind of let the artwork speak to me and tell me where it wants to go. And I think that that's an important part of the art of living, kind of not getting too wrapped up in any type of methodology, but just kind of letting life happen as it may, and still, planning for purposeful and powerful things to happen in your life. This is kind of like visualizing the auras of energy that surround us. And the auras of energy aren't just, colors, and they're stories. We're telling stories, we're projecting our story into the world for other people. Like you may have an aura and I may have an aura, and when it comes together, it creates these symbols that tell stories of how we related and connected to one another at this moment in time. And that's what art to me is about, is capturing a moment in time, preserving it. So, and again, like the fact that we're doing this social media, Facebook Live thing is very important too, because that's where a lot of these images come from, where, you know, it's a way of uniting us universally. You know, we're able to see people in Atlanta and New York and you know, California, Chicago, and even as far as Australia and, you know, Ethiopia, and, you know, just people all over the world are engaging in the same types of practices, and the internet connects us. You know, it literally is the World Wide Web, and it allows us to reach such a broader audience. So that's another thing I wanted to tie in, was the reason for this exhibit was to show how many people that I'm inspired by and touched by, even though I may not be able to be in their physical presence, you know, their energy still resonates with me, and our auras can combine that way.
Yes, yes, yes. I would say, what would you say as it relates to cosmic yoga? Do you feel it's something that, you know, I'm asking this for the audience, is it something that people aspire to achieve, or is it something that's uncovered?
I think it's a complicated process that involves both aspects of that. You know, everything is a process of peeling back layers of self-discovery. And, you know, it may not be something everyone is capable of achieving, but your ultimate goal is to be the best that you can be. So, you know, ultimately I want to inspire people just to do what's within their own capabilities, but do it to the best of their extent. You know, so if you're good at yoga, but you're not able to do the extreme poses, that's fine. You know, do what you're comfortable with. And if that helps you grow and elevate your consciousness, then it served its purpose.